Hello. I want to say thank you again. I talked to Brian earlier this morning. I was traveling from Alabama to Ohio, so that's why I wasn't on the Zoom meeting originally. But he said I can record myself talking about my project and I could submit it to you guys this way. So I just want to say thank you one more time for being so understanding with like a hectic schedule. Um, so this is my project, my PowerPoint. It is me talking about art education one album at a time. So it's just an overview of it. So it contains an overview of the problem, the issues and the benefits, the albums themselves, and the supply drive. So what is art education? So my working definition of art education is being involved in creative activities in an academic setting. So these can include dance, theater, music, painting, and sculpture. The art education that I focused on the most was working with the middle school children of the local Tuskegee Institute Middle School, um, with their art class and learning more about how these national issues can affect people on a local level and what that actually looks like being in a classroom setting. So the biggest issue that's going on with art education right now is that more than 80% of schools nationwide have been experiencing major budget cuts. And these budget cuts are forcing the schools to choose what's most important to their students' education. So, just an example of this being put into the real world is that in the 1999 to 2000 school year, about 20% of the schools offered theater and dance classes for their students, and 87% of them offered some type of visual arts class. And after the budget cuts and looking at the same schools back in 2009 to the 2010 school year, only 3% of these schools have money for dance, 40% of them have money for theater programs, and 83% of them still offer visual art classes. So it's showing how much of a decline that these can truly have on the students and what they can access. So why are the funds being reduced? We talked about the issue, but let's look at the actual cause of that. So these are being caused for a lot of reasons. These can include schools spending money on core subjects such as the reading and math, the No Child Left Behind Act, the decrease in the amount of students in rural areas like Tuskegee, and requirements to keep up the grades and test scores. So the No Child Left Behind Act, when it was passed, it's going to focus on schools with more core subjects like reading and math. And because the focus is on these harder subjects, more money is being put towards those aspects to increase the standardized testing rates and to keep the test scores high. It requires school to focus more on the children's grades instead of allowing them an outlet for their creative energies. So this causes a huge drop in schools to decrease the amount of money they're putting into the arts compared to the amount of money that they're putting into, the reading programs, the math programs. So there are many benefits to art education in childhood. These can include helping people engage in school and reduce stress by allowing students to have an opportunity to have fun throughout the class day without having to worry such as the stressors for other areas. It's also backed by research. Developing social and emotional and interpersonal skills, because participating in art programs, especially collaborative ones, are a good way for students to sharpen communication skills. And these are very, very crucial, especially during the years of COVID, when a lot of these children were required to stay at home for many years and only seeing each other through a Zoom classroom. So it didn't allow them to have those same type of interpersonal skills that being in a classroom with, a good 5 to 15 people would allow them to have. So we can talk about the albums, I included videos for this to kind of show more dynamic approach that I've been taking for this. So this right now is a overview of all the albums that 10,000 Hertz Records in Opelika had donated to me. I put them all out on a big table because just to see the sheer amount they've given. So during this process, I had to lay them all out on the table so that I could wipe them down and then thoroughly prep the insides of the albums for me to go and continue on prepping them for the actual work. So the assembly in this first picture, you can see those are the materials that I was using. A large roll of craft paper, which also taught me to understand that the world is constantly changing. Because originally I was promised a big roll of craft paper, but having those setbacks, I realized that they can't just stop me. I need to keep powering through them, even though I might hear a no, which is a little disappointing. So the craft paper, glue, paper towels, and paintbrushes. So this first one right here, the video I'm showing right now, is just a quick video of me painting. Oh. Is a quick video of me just going and painting the glue on each of the albums, just spreading it out in a thin layer so I could go and press it down onto the craft paper. And then after I had let that dry, I go over here and I cut each of them out in a long strip so that would allow me to better fold and cause a smooth surface for the children to paint on. So that's just a big thing of me just showing how I would do that. This next one down here is me just showing the process that goes into completely covering them. So when all of them are cut out into long strips, I fold them over, put tape on them, and then I glue them again so that I could fold the entire thing over and cut off the excess. And I feel like this part of the process took the longest just because it was a lot of taping and gluing and setting heavy objects on them just so that each of the albums would have a very smooth surface for the kids to design on them. And then this last one right here is just the albums that I was laying out after I've thoroughly cleaned them off and I've sanded them so that it'd be easier for students to paint on them. It's showing the heavy construction paper I put on the label so that they can also design their own label. So this is my demo record. It is a woman showing with big magnolia, marigold flowers over her eyes. And then on the inside of the record, I wanted to be super open with the students to show them that this is a project that's solely for them. It allows them to truly express themselves in ways that they might not have done before. So in this, I also did show the 7 elements of art, which include line, form, color, tone, texture, shape, and space. And then on the inside of it, it has a few facts about me. So like my favorite smell in the whole world is lavender. My favorite time of the day is night. And then I'm scared of butterflies. A lot of the students had a good time laughing at that. And it just showed them that you can be super open with these. And even though it might not make sense to other people, it's really just for you to express yourselves. So this is just some of the students' work. So I don't know what happened to the pictures of originally that I had gotten of some of their final albums because only a few of them had finished by the time I had left to go home. But this is just some of the sketches that they made to show what they wanted their album to look like. We had a few people that were just going in asking what do I want? And they were going to paint that on their album. Here are some more of the designs. So one boy decided to make his a shoe stepping on gum that looked like his face. He said he wanted his to be super abstract. Another girl had flowers with thorns. We had someone who wanted to work for an electric company, so he put in all the parts of electricity that he wanted to help design. And then another girl who had family members from Africa, she decided to make an African mask to just describe how she sees herself. This is another one. This is one of my favorite ones. It is a girl. She sketched what her hands look like, and it was just a question because she didn't know who she wanted to be in the future. And then here's some more. We had one of my students whose favorite game is Spider-Man on the PS4. I said, you know what, you can draw that. And he did. Another girl down here, she was designing it based on the different seasons to show her different emotions and the seasons that she likes the most in Alabama. And this one right here, one of the students wanted to make a picture of himself, and he put his nickname on the middle of it, RJ. So staying on campus a little later to move out allowed me to think of an extra part of my project that I originally wasn't going to do, which was the donation back to the arts. It was just a big thank you back to the principal and the art teacher for just allowing me to be so open and coming in with fun. So here it is. These are some of the donations I had collected from the students around Tuskegee University. They had just donated so much from the bottom of their hearts. So here, right here in this image, it is a lot of copy paper, notebook paper, notebooks, all types of notebooks, stencils, binders, and loose leaf paper. This one right here is just showing how I went through and I organized everything. So I combined like items. So we had multiple glue guns being donated. We had a book bag that was brand new being donated. A lot of erasers, sticky notes. We had more pencils than I think any teacher knows what to do with. Um, we had a lot of Scantrons being donated back to the middle school teachers, calculators, and then later on, I was gifted a donation from some of our grad students. So a few of them gave me science equipment, and then one of them even donated 140 petri dishes. So I talked to the art teacher, and she thought that was so cool. And we decided that she wanted to do kind of like a fun little project, like design your own bacteria. And she's also going to be sharing some of these supplies with other teachers. And then the biggest donation I was given was by one of my friends, and she had donated a brand new printer to the middle school art teacher so that she would no longer have to walk out of her classroom to print off all these papers and images that were only in black and white. So she gave her a huge new printer with a whole lot of ink. So these were my biggest support systems while I was doing my project. The one right here, that is my teacher, Dr. Collier. She is the sweetest. And she was just always there to help me out and just support me. The one in the middle right here is Miss Sharon Williams. She is the art teacher I was working with, and she was so grateful when I donated all that stuff to her. It took up two huge bins that were 27 liters, I think, like 27 gallons. Like it was so much stuff. I had to have multiple students come and help me take it out my car. And she was just so grateful. And she said that she'll be sharing that, all the things that I gifted her, to the other teachers, and they were super happy too. And this one right here is the middle school principal. That's Miss Wright. She was super kind, and she had helped me decide and figure out how to do this big donation back. So I just wanted to say thank you to them because they were the biggest helps for during all this project. And that is the end of my project. Thank you guys so much for being so accommodating and hope you liked it.